Today we have the phenomenal Jose Angel, who is 35 years as a corporate CEO. Unfortunately, he was in an unexpected 5-year ordeal as a hostage in Venezuela due to nationality.
I can't imagine a better moment today to talk with a CEO who led huge companies or one company for 35 years and has so much knowledge as a leader, because to stay so long in such a high function, you can grasp that it's hard. And after that, when you are almost frozen to have some more joy with your family, maybe you are just getting hostage in a dispute between countries, and you stay for almost 5 years in a different country as a hostage at your age, with your expertise, with other CEOs, not knowing what will happen to you, going through struggles, having a heart attack, almost died, and losing 100 pounds, and not being sure if you will make it, not keeping contact with your family for 6-10 months. Sorry, can you imagine? And today, because there are so many hostage situations we can witness, but there are so many we cannot. Now imagine someone who gets out after 5 years, where you just lost 5 years in your life. How can you transform those 5 years to not be lost, but to be a win, and now to come and inspire others? I'm so curious to learn a little bit about your life story, Jose Angel, and I'm so happy to know you. And please introduce a little bit about whatever you want to share about yourself, because we have tons of questions, and in the second half of this meeting, you can join the stage by raising your hand, and if you have any kind of question, you will come next to us on stage and ask Jose or any of us about anything you just want, or give a comment about that. Welcome. Jose, welcome to our show.
Wow, Christina, you surprised me how you did my introduction. Really, you went through my case. I'm really surprised, I can tell you, because when I heard you say, wow, she really went through my case. To the audience that doesn't know me, because I see on the stage some of the people of my community that I came, and so I'm glad that I see some faces here, but there are some faces that for me are new, because this is the beauty of LinkedIn, that you begin to connect with other peoples. As Christina said, we met in an audio event that I went to a stage, because I'm really today trying to be very vocal with this situation and trying to inspire others. Because Christina said it, I was a guy that I stayed all my life working in the oil and gas, all my life. I began, when I finished my school, my degree, I jumped to the oil and gas in day one, the day after. I literally dedicate all my life to the oil and gas. Not only me, I come from, because I'm Venezuelan born. Venezuela back in the 80s, in the 90s, was one of the unfortunately richest country Latin America, because it has a big reservoir of oil, and I was working with the PDVSA, that is the national oil company, that was the fifth oil company in the world by that time. Today, Venezuela is a mess because there is a regime there and whatever. I don't want to go on the politics, but the situation is that I dedicated my life to the oil and gas. My father, my grandfather, I come from 4 generations of that. I want the audience to put that in the context, because I did this career. I did a 35 years career working with a lot of joint ventures, working with the oil and gas, because we had multicultural companies working with us. At the end of my career, in the last 15 years of my career, I was assigned to the U.S.-based affiliate that is Citgo, and I did my career finishing becoming the CEO of the companies. But really, I did the whole cycle in my career, and then suddenly I was ready to get retired. Almost 3 months becoming to get retired. 1 week before Thanksgiving is gonna be in few days is gonna be the Thanksgiving, and the cycle of the 6 year came. So today, this year, the Thanksgiving is gonna be exactly the same day that this situation happened to me. It's gonna be like a milestone in my life. I was called to a last minute meeting to Venezuela, and it became to be, as Cristina said, a settlement, because they were having issues with the two countries. And inadvertently we get caught in that situation because I have never in my nightmare think that this situation could happen to me. And this is something that today I'm talking about. I'm going to now go and begin to talk about what is the resilience and how you can bounce back. Because to talk about resilience, you have to talk about the adversity. That's why today I'm an adversity and a resilience coach, because adversity is the situation that happened. The wrestling is how you react. Adversity never announced. This is the first thing. You will never get announced when an adversity in your life is gonna come. It can be any adversity in your life that you can are thinking. Think about health adversity. Think about marriage adversity. Think about financial adversity. In my case, was a huge adversity because it became losing my freedom during 5 years. And as Christina said, we went through a lot of situations. I don't want to take because I will take an hour talking about that. But the thing is that we went through a situation that was a nightmare. It was living like in a hell, and it was the most unimaginable thing that you can think about. And then many people ask me the question, and how you did it, how you made it, how you can survive that. And at the beginning, to tell you the truth, I was even surprised the way we reacted. But now that I have 1 year that I came back, because in October 1st, I got my first year coming back. And today, as I said, I became a coach talking about this and helping others. Um, I realized that that was because we had embedded in our nature the resilience.
Because it's part of the story, and I wouldn't want to lose this part here, Jose. I'm super curious exactly here what you're mentioning, because you said you would never expect something like this to happen to you. And this happens with so many of us. We never know. Like you said, adversity is never announced. How long it took until your mind comprehended consciously that, hey, I'm trapped, I cannot escape?
Well, this is a very great question, Christina, because this is the way you reacted. I had, because today I understand that there is something in the human nature that somebody has maybe more developed than the other, but the good news is that you can develop it. That is having a positive mindset. Christina, was a guy that all my life was really positive. It's something that is basically in my DNA. I'm a really super positive guy all my life. Everybody that knows me from ever will always hear that I always was looking things in a positive way. I never went back. I always was thinking that if I failed or whatever, I said, okay, Jose, go ahead and continue. So that thing that we had embedded in our nature really was helpful, because when we realized we were going in that situation, was like in the first week. The first week was like a shock. You didn't know what was going on. By the way, to the audience to understand, we were put in a third basement in a military base, totally isolated. At some point, we lose the time sense, the control, everything. But when we realized that that was our situation, that you sit down and say, okay, now you're going through this. So how you're going to handle it? So then comes another thing, that you have to be focused. You need to be focused. In any adversity, you really need to be focused, because this is something that's going to help you to bounce back. You see the situation, you understand, because you go through like several phases. The first phase is denial. You will deny, this is not happening to me, this is wrong, this is a mistake. I went through that situation. Then you go to another stage, that is that you say, wow, why this is happening to me? And I went to that stage too, because I said, but why this is happening? Why me? I was ready to get retired. Why this happened to me? And then come the third phase, and this is the most important phase, when you decide, if you decide and you accept it and decide to move on, or you get stick there. So there comes the choice, how you decided to overcome that. And there's where you're gonna be a resident guy. Because if you decide to continue denying it, feeling that you're a poor guy, that why this happened to me, and then you go depressed, you go to anxiety, you go to all this path. But if you decided to say, okay, now I understand, I don't know why this is happening, but I'm going to face it. So in that point, you become, I call it a survivor. That's why my coaching program is, I decided to call it coaching as a survivor, because every time I present myself, I said I am a former manager, a former hostess, but I'm a survivor. Because being a survivor, it puts you in the situation that you begin to understand what is going in your situation. And this is what I'm talking is genetic. You can use it to anything in your life. So you can use it in your business and in your life. Okay, so when you go to that path, then comes another thing that's so important is getting stick to the people that cares, that love you. So this is very important. This is very important because this is, if even if you're a leader in your company, you really get to get your team. You know, the team is so important in your life. That the team, that they're working with the people that love you. In our case, talking about our situation, how we manage it there, was really at the beginning we were totally cut off, no communication with our family. So at some point, like 1 year after, 1 year, we begin to receive the authorization to receive food from the outside world. Christina said, well, I lost 100 pounds. We were starving to death. And when the UN, because there was a UN commission that went there, we could begin to receive food. Well, I decided to begin to smuggle letters with my wife. So that's the way we did it. And by the way, that's the way I wrote my book. My book is based on these letters that are like 1,000 letters. That when I came back, I saw my wife with those one pile of 1,000 letters that she had transcribed in Word. And literally there was there. So that became a great connection. A great connection and in any situation that you're going now, being focused, then getting positive and getting with your people, the people that cares from you. So that goes to another stage, because now you begin to understand what is the meaning, the purpose that you need. And this is something very important in leadership. You really need to know what is the meaning of your business or whatever you're doing. You have to be very clear. And that's what I'm going to say it here. That's what makes the difference. The guys that are visionaries. I was talking the other day that there are very great examples that people have been visionaries. I'm going to say one here that maybe people can say that they like it or not, but you cannot agree that Elon Musk is not a visionary. I don't know if you like it or not, but this is a very clear case of a guy that is truly a visionary. I can name another one, Walt Disney. You know, there are many examples that people, but why these guys are like from another planet, another time, because they see things that others doesn't see. They really know where they want to go. They realize the things before they happen, and they work to make it happen. So that was the situation that happened to us, because for a miracle reason, and this is going to be my fifth stage. In this fourth stage that we were there, at some point we began to read books. They allow us to begin to read books, and I was reading books like a crazy. And there's a book that I always mention that came to me. I don't know if the audience has read it. It's a World War II survivor of Auschwitz concentration camp called Viktor Frankl, and the book is named Man in a Search of a Meaning. That book really gave me the clarity that anything in your life, you need to have a purpose. You need to have a meaning. And that's why we found that the meaning in our case was coming back sane in body, soul, and spirit to our family. And the fifth stage is going to your spirituality. And then you can say, well, what has to do leadership with your spirituality? It has a lot to do. because really a leader has to get that sense that inspire others. So we go to another examples how great leader inspire. You can think about Nelson Mandela. There's a guy that is inspiring people. Mahatma Gandhi. There are so many, the Mother Teresa of Calcutta. There are so many cases of people that you see them and they don't have the archetype that you think in the leader, but they are so inspiring. So a leader, when you can inspire others, wow, this is really powerful. And that's why having that spirituality is important. So when you put everything together, and that's why today I talk about this, because really I understood that we went through that process. And let me say this here: when we came back in October, we landed in a military base here, protected by the U.S. government, because it was the U.S. government that brought us back in a prisoner swap, and we stayed there like 10 days, having a program called the compression program, and we learned there that what we had done was like a miracle, was remarkable. But we did it based on common sense. Of course, I'm going to say it. I went through my life, my long career, a lot of, having going to situations that you had to plan, be prepared for the changes, and then you have to be, going forward, making team buildings. Because this is another thing. We were 6 guys. I was not alone. We were 6 guys. So we had to be working together, planning together, all these things that we put together. Today, I'm very, very, very aware that that was the situation that made us survive all this. Sorry to be so long, but I wanted to talk really about this.
This is very good, Jose, and you created a very nice spectrum for us to grasp. And now we will go a little bit back in time, because I'm sure that many of us, they have hidden questions, and I hope I will just catch a couple of them, because I would go back at the beginning. We are talking resilience, we are talking visionary leadership and powerful, strong adaptation, strength skills that can make us stronger. And here I would love to grasp that kind of moment, those transitional aha moments or turning points for you, because let's say you got hostage. At the beginning it was denial. How is that possible? This can never happen to me. It sounds familiar. Just look around the world, what's happening. There are things we never thought we'll see again, especially those who know history. I mean, things can happen to us and we don't know when. But then again, there are 2 categories of people. Some of us can get broke or reborn. And what do you do to not be broke? And I would love from you if you could just a little bit go back. So you got yourself there, is the denial. You're not alone, you're 6 guys, but you lose the circadian rhythm. That's huge. When you don't have the sleep, when you don't have the food, when you don't know where to go, and to the bathroom, you don't have good fresh water, so you start to develop pneumonia. Your mind starts to get crazy because it's probably dark, and so you don't know, oh, it passed 1 hour, 1 day, an eternity, it's 1 month. So what was in your mind during those initial moments that made you not break, not get crazy, not get totally sick and just die there? And those kind of initial realization, because I think we could benefit from those moments in time if we will face them as leaders or situations in our life, even personal, where we will get ourselves in such situation and we need to get out, and also be a model for others. So yeah, could you walk us through a little bit until, let's say, you got to that balanced state? Okay, from here I can manage, I will survive.
Yeah, this is a very good example you put it. By the way, I'm surprised how you condense our situation, but it is exactly how you're saying. We begin in the denial. The first year, we stayed like 10 months in a place that they call the submarine, because it's like a vessel. And we were separated, by the way. We were not together. The 6, I was only with one of the guys. The other 4, I saw them 1 year later. And Gustavo and me, that we were together, we began to coach ourselves. We begin to say, hey, we have to do this together. So we begin to think, okay, what we're gonna do with this, and we were on a daily basis talking about this, on a daily basis, At some point, when we got together, because there was beginning to be a lot of international pressure. In our case, in this case, became really political between the U.S. and Venezuela, and they decided to put us together. I remember the first day we came there, Christina. I always joke about this because it was like making a board meeting. The six of us in a room, sitting there and begin to deliberate how we were going to survive. And we created a plan, a comprehensive plan. And we had a plan keeper, and we decided to go on a daily basis, focus on that plan. And we did it every day. We did a plan to eat. We did a plan to clean, because now we're talking in the pandemic. During the pandemic, we were totally sanitizing that on a daily basis. Everybody had their duty, what to do. We were reading, as I said, we were exercising. This is another thing. You have to keep your physical and mental health. So we decided to begin to exercise, even if we were in a tiny room. I can tell you, let me tell you, in a corner, somebody was making push-ups. In the other corner, the guy was doing cardio. In the other corner, somebody was doing like a static running. In the other corner, the other guy in the yoga, and in the middle. So we created an environment that we could handle that. And we did it in a daily basis. Everything we did it in a daily basis. And then we have time to read, time to write, and time to even to have some distraction. We created with some paper, some domino, and we've been playing domino. So we created our own environment. But we did a plan, and one of my colleagues, he was the plan keeper. He was really, really pushing the people to stick to the plan. He was always stick to the plan. And we began to do it in a daily basis. And let me tell you, Christina, after that, the days begin to run really fast. And we were focused on that, doing that on a daily basis. And that became like a game changer for us, because we were stick to the plan, daily basis, very focused, supporting each other. Very important. We were coaching each other, because I'm not going to say that some days somebody could be down. Or can you imagine in this tiny room the friction between the people? Sometimes there was some arguments. So, but at some point we became like a band of brothers. So that if you extrapolate this to your business or to your life or whatever, you need to have a plan. You have to have a plan in your life, but you have to see the plan on a long term, but be focusing on in what's going on in your daily life, because this is very important. Sometimes the leader lose the face that they are, at the end, they are human beings. I always say this: if you hang your suits and you hang your title, you're a simple human being. So a true good leader is that guy that connects with the people through their humanity. So that's why one of the key things in leadership, that, by the way, I'm talking in my newsletter this week, is the empathy. Be empathic with the people. Be empathic with the person that is there, because if there are many types of leadership. You can be an autocratic leader, but if you're a democratic leader and a transformational leader, you're gonna understand the others. And even if you have to take strong decisions, you will before put in the shoes of the other. I always put an example that I had in my previous life, and I always talk my previous life. I worked in a joint venture with a Japanese joint venture, and I learned the Japanese culture, and this is a culture that really they have embedded in their DNA, this empathy, because they never take a decision without knowing what the other thinking. So before taking any decision, they want to have everybody on board. So a true leader is that. And we learn it that way. We learn it that way.
I've already started to list that some people in the room I cannot start taking questions because I want this to be a communication. But before that, I have a big addition to ask you, and then I'm also looking forward because Ken has always amazing questions and angles to touch on. But before that, now I would be the devil's advocate, and I would say, okay, you went through a lot of hardship, and people need to be empathic to grasp the full truth behind your experience. I am an empath, and so I went through that entire experience, and wow, I mean, I could just talk with you for days. But now let's say not everyone goes through that, or maybe they didn't suffer enough in life to just get to that level, and they would say, okay, but you at least were their 6 leaders, and you knew what to do, and you helped each other, and so on. But yeah, how about if I would get hostage or in a horrendous situation alone? What would I do? But before that, just I want to salute everyone who came late, and I saw familiar faces. Yeah, I'm so happy to see you here. You are all welcome, and I hope that we will have a situation where we can also chat soon in a platform maybe, because we will vote about the next steps for Tech Leadership Lab. Okay, Jose, so please tell me, if we are getting in such situation alone, what could we learn from you?
Well, as I said, the first year we were typically were alone. And I have another person because this hostage situation today. I belong to a hostage community, and I have been talking with other hostage. By the way, I had a very nice conversation yesterday with one guy that he's the he's the guy that if anybody has seen the movie Hotel Rwanda, he was the guy that was kept in Rwanda, and we're friends today. And we were talking about this exactly because this is something that has to do with the way you face the things. Because even in the worst situation, in the worst, you can imagine anything. It can be this situation or it can be any situation in your life. You are not alone. You always will have people that care from you. In our case, we were alone, and even though we learned that our family was fighting very, very hard for us. So if you're in a situation in your life or in your business or whatever, you need to have your people that care of you surrounded you. You need to get your support. No, these things you never have to face it alone. And this, I think, is a mistake. Try to face the things alone. So in our case, even that we were alone at some point, we really, really understood that we needed to be sane to come back to our families. And let me tell you, we did things like, for example, we tried to maintain the routine, that doing things during the day, sleeping in the night, during the weekend, trying to understand that it was a weekend. So we tried to maintain that routine because we were always thinking the day we return to our family, we don't want to be broken. We don't want to be a burden for our family. So there are things that really, really have to do with your mindset, the way you face it. This is mindset, and the positivity is something key. Mindset, and in your life, if you're having any situation, you can learn how to manage it. You know, Christina, you are aware of that. So get surrounded with the people that love you. Never face these things alone.
No, that was absolutely fantastic, and I kind of would like to go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole in this direction. Would it be possible for you to potentially share a pivotal moment in this 5-year experience where your resilience was truly tested like no other, and how did you overcome it?
I'm going to put an example because we went through a lot of things. And maybe when the people when read my book, I'm going to see because this really was a carousel of emotion. There was a moment during the COVID that we, as I said, we were isolated. We were totally isolated from the other guys. We were put in a very tiny place, the 6 guys, but we were cleaning that thing, sanitizing it very, very daily basis. Even though I got COVID, and I began to feel bad, and I said, "Oh, this looks like a COVID." And these guys, they didn't want to know that the people know that there was COVID there. They took me to a hospital. And literally they kidnapped me. I suffered like a second kidnap because I was put isolated in a place, and it was like a hotel, something like that. That there was camouflage, and I stayed there, disappeared, 10 days. 10 days, and my family was crazy. Crazy. One of my son went to one of a journalist from one of these major outlets, because by that time they were having a lot of contact with the media, and they went to one of these big journalists, and this guy put out news all over the world that I was disappeared. At that point, and I was not only isolated, I thought that I was going to die. And at some point, I said, "Hey, Jose, you are here, and now you're alone again, and maybe you're going to die here alone." Let me tell you, this I think this was one of the most dramatic moments in our ordeal, because we really thought that we were going to die. And but yeah, I begin to think again, because it's something that never let your mind go that way. I begin to rebound, and I decided to stay calm. And after that, I came back. But I think that was one of the most dramatic moments.
We won't let you die, Jose. Don't worry.
I realize that this hour just flies away every time we have interesting discussions, and maybe we will go overboard again then next 15 minutes. But I'm also very curious, and I want to let our attendees to put questions. Even if we have so many again, we need to think about how we can improve this to also grasp more and more wisdom from our guests. And our first would be Enery. Is this the right spelling? And I'm so curious what you will ask, because you are also from maybe a hot zone, if I can figure this out well. And please tell us your name, because I'm really curious about it.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, indeed, you pronounced my first name correct. It's Enery. My last name is a little bit more challenging. It's Ödolare in the proper spelling, but that I took from my husband. I'm originally from South Africa. And Jose, it is. I joined a little bit late. Thank you, Ken, for initiating or bringing this to my attention. Really, really thankful for that. There's a couple of quotes that struck with me, and I guess living in Jordan, in Amman at the moment, being so close to the trauma that's happening. Also, having said I've joined very late in the call, I understand that you have yourself gone through some trauma. From what I understand, quite a bit. What would your advice be, I guess, for a person that's not necessarily from a region facing trauma in a region that they are residing in and feeling very passionate about? How do we, within your experience frame, how do we connect with each other?
Wow, what a great question, and that was your answer. For those of you like Enery who joined us a little bit later, so Jose was kept hostage in Venezuela as an American citizen for 5 years as an ex-CEO in oil and gas. So yeah, this was indeed a traumatic experience.
There's so many things going on in my head.
Well, and I was talking in the beginning about the connection with your loved one, and always find a way to get there, because we were in I mentioned it, that we didn't have no communication with our family, because my family was here in the US and I was kept in Venezuela. At some point we were totally isolated, but we managed to begin to smuggle letters, and we got connected. So the people always get a way to connect. Let me tell you, we did it, and we created like a secret code in the case they discovered the letters, and we stayed doing that for years. And so in any situation, and you said that you're being close to Jordan, unfortunately the situation there is, well, it's so dramatic. I'm so sorry about that. But the people always the people always will look to get connected, though. They will always find a path. Let me tell you, when something wrong goes, everybody will know what is going on. Even you can have people that you have time that you don't see, the connection will get there. So when you're talking about loved ones, they're gonna be with you. They're going even if for some reason you're separated or you're having issues in adversity, that's gonna be like something. It's like a glue. You will get connected. It will happen.
I cannot explain to you how much that means to me that you just said that. Because I keep hearing since I joined that you speak about we. And I mean, of course, for me, I also have a we, but I'm concerned about how big that we is. And the way that you've just put that is immaculate. Thank you so much, Jose. Yeah.
Thank you, Anari.
How big is your faith is?
You unmuted a couple of times. Yeah, if you have the mic, or Jose, do you have a question?
Oh, yes. I have lots of questions here. Thank you so much, Christina and Ken, for putting me up here. Jose's stories is always like inspiring, you know. Always. It's like always dear to me whenever I see him around me. Because we've been listening to him for so many months now about the stories he has connected through the pains he has been gone through. For me, his wife is the real vision leader. Like how when he was behind every pain, she didn't throw up. She didn't give up. She kept on coming. She kept on. She was saving all the tickets to wait for Jose. All right, she will go through this pain. Oh, so that was the risen leader. I mean, this is just a worldly example for risen leadership. And yes, later, this is what Jose adopted. That when my wife can do this, why not me? That's why he's always saying we. And that's where his faith was being tested. Jose's faith was being tested because like how the wife went through all those pains and everything, then Jose showed with his faith and with being more patient that now it's my time to stay with her. And he's always asking, Jose is always asking to write a book. And I really love this idea of like you and your wife both writing a book about all what happened. Trust me, this is like, I know you did your part, you did it. But if that was done in collaborations, oh my goodness. This is a worldly example of like how risen leadership is. When whole world was against Jose and his wife was still coming with the kids to see him, or without kids, anything. But, you know, when, like how the lady asked the question, it's about how much we give up, how much we give to the people, right? The connections we make, right? And it's always about when you say about we, it's like when you get to know the importance of we, it starts from the original leadership starts from Adam and goes up to the masters behind curtains, the Jesus behind curtain, the Mahdi, commander of faith, son Mahdi, who's behind curtains, the real resident leadership. To be very honest, this is just a small part, you know. I was listening to these conversations with Jose, and he's amazing. Keep up the good work.
Do you have one question for Jose to see if also others want to join us for questions, or we continue with ours?
He is the answers of all questions. He's a beautiful man. He's an amazing man. Not just, he's a smart man. His questions, his answers, everything. He's like a whole dictionary. It's a whole book in himself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you for that. Wow, thank you.
Yes, and this would be a great introduction from Zarat because he obviously knows your story. And you could also tell us where you are with your book because you are just now publishing in the process, and maybe people want to know how they can help you and where they can find your book.
Yeah, the book today is in the pre-order stage. I have a company called Publicizer. Maybe I can leave the link here. The campaign of the pre-order is going to be open until November 30. The book is already written, but the way we did it this way for two reasons. Well, there is some editing cost there, but the main thing is that we wanted to keep the intellectual property very clear. We wanted to have the choice to select as much as publisher, the one that really can help us with this, because we want to put this story in English and in Spanish, and because we have a Latin audience there. And this is the way we did it. Now there is a link to the Publicizer, the people can pre-order the book, and the campaign finishes in November 30. The book can be published maybe in December. Okay, we have several packages there, because one of the things that I want to tell the audience, I'm strong advocate for the hostage community. I belong to, there's a campaign that are the families of almost 20 of hosted we began, called the Bring Our Family Home campaign, and there are several foundations that today work here in the U.S. For that: Hosted USA, James Foley Legacy Foundation, the Richardson Center, Hosted Day Worldwide, Amer Fakuli Foundation. I work with all of them today. So part of my proceed is also is going to support the foundation. And you mentioned it, the situation is going in the Middle East. This is part of the, this thing is something that unfortunately will never stop, because this became like a practice, taking people and using it as political pawns and bargain chips to gain some political leverage. And unfortunately today I'm part of that community. I always say, you became part of a community that you never wanted to be, but at the end you become part of it. So I strongly say that. Sorry, say again. Say again.
How large is the hostage community around the world, if you know?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm connected to all of them. No, it's a big community, because one of the situations that happened in the hostage situation, and normally the person that goes to hostage normally is a high profile person, not a politician, but a high profile. Can be a businessman, or can be a human right advocate, or can be an environmentalist, a guy, or so because they get you because you're in the wrong place with the wrong passport in the wrong time, and then they begin to negotiate for you. So it's a big community, because this situation is happening in all the first world countries. There are people I met, by the way. I was in an event during the UN in September that I was invited, and I met a lot of hostages from all over the world. Germany, Australia, UK, Philippines, and Italy, Belgium, people from Belgium. And today this is a big community, and here in the U.S. there are a lot of people, and now with the situation going in the Middle East, like 100 more people. So this becomes a strong bond, a strong connection with, because the cases at the end, I have learned, they are so similar with the ordeal, and Sarah mentioned it, the family. The suffering of the family is something that's unimaginable. So what my wife did, I told her, the real hero here is you. Is you, because you were the person that supported me during these 5 years, and I came back because of you. So that's something that, and going back to the leadership, a leader has to recognize what their team are doing. So this is something so important, that when the leader doesn't get all the credit, they give that credit to their team. So I'm trying to extrapolate this for the leadership, because this is really something that a true leader does. Recognize the team, do a great teamwork. And this is something that at the end, going to the example of a leader, that people are going to always give you the extra mile, because they are committed. When the people think that the company they belong to that company, and the company belongs to them, wow. So can you imagine how the company is going to go?
No, that's absolutely fantastic, and I would love to tie a question into that as well. I know we've been talking a lot about the life side. I would like to transition to the last few moments that we have more into the business side. And how do you foster a resilient organization culture that can actually adapt and learn from failures and setbacks? Currently, there's a lot of organizations around the world really feeling the burn rate. They're transitioning into these uncertain times. And as we know, the businesses that are able to get through these valleys are the ones that become legends. So I was just wondering if you could break down how you typically foster that resilience in the organizations that you work with.
That is a very important question, because when I put all this situation together and translate it to the business, if you're a leader that first, you communicate with your people. A true leader that has the self-awareness that he doesn't know all the answers, that he needs their team. Because sometimes the leader thinks that he can do the things alone. You have a team with you. Sometimes you are not the expert, but you can guide them. A leader that, as I said, has the empathy with the people, and then allow your team to grow, so that the team thinks that that company belongs to them, and they are more adapted to the changes. And a leader has to be a great communicator. So if you're going through hard time, you have to have the hard talk with your employees. You need to have that hard talk to your employees so they can understand what's going on. And as I said, if you're a true visionary, you're going to guide them. I always put the example of that movie. Have you seen that movie, Braveheart? The case of these.
Oh, who hasn't? Classic.
Okay, well, that's a great case. The guy was in the front. He was in the front row. He was guiding the people, but he was in the front. So if anything happened, he was the first. So that's the great leader. So he take the leadership and goes for it, and he becomes a model. Because when you act this way, you inspire your people. And the people are going to be more committed to the change. I think that organizations today that have this type of leadership have more opportunity to become successful in this changing world.
Yeah, I would love to have a summary. Maybe you would want to be our ChatGPT summary, Ken. But before that, I have another question, and maybe it's also my summary because it was interesting going through your experience with it. The way I saw it at the beginning, creativity was very handy. So you get yourself into a crazy situation, you cannot grasp that it's real, you don't even know how you will make it or what's happening around you, but you start to get creative. So that's one of the assets of such a resilient leader, maybe, that when you are finding yourself in a new situation, grasping creativity to find ways to what to do, support, talk with each other, create planning or something. And if you are alone, you can do this in your own mind, I presume. And then have a structure, right? And have your own discipline or someone to keep that discipline, to keep it long term. And here resilience kick in. And I'm just trying here for us and our audience to get a little bit of formula of the importance of resilience, but also the other ingredients that are part of forming the resilient leadership. So am I right here? Creativity is very handy when you don't lose your mind at the beginning, and then the sustainable planning and having a structure to keep fit, like discipline, and being resilient around it. It's a game changer in such situations and also leadership.
Oh yeah, Christina, you said it very, very well. Creativity is something so important. Let me tell you, I had something embedded in me that I'm Venezuelan born. That maybe the people that come from a third world country can understand more this than somebody that comes from the first world. When you come from the third world, and in the case of Venezuela, that is a typical Latin American country that you can find this in any of these countries, is that you really had to become a guide adapting to the change every time, because the economical situation, the political situation always is evolving and changing. So that becomes part of your behavior. So when I came here to the U.S., when I began assigned to work here in the U.S., I was always working with international companies. Okay, but I had this part of myself being as a Venezuelan adapting to these changes. So when I begin to hear about the thinking outside the box, I always joke about that, because in this third world country, you had to be thinking out of the box every day. Because if not, you're not going to survive. That is skills, to tell you the truth. I truly believe that helped me to solve that situation, because we needed to be adapting to the changes. So going back to the business, a true leader that always is thinking ahead, thinking that if something is coming, he's not going to get there. He's going to really think how to manage it. This is the leader that really is going to survive. So in today's world, and you there, guys that are in the tech world, can say this, because can you imagine how the world is changing in the tech side if a leader is not on top of that? So really, the true leader is that survive is the one that really has that creativity. So yeah, you said it very well. Creativity, I think, is key for a leader in this time the world is living.
And my last question, because I think can we will have this question from now on, just because we are moving closer and closer to the real community for that leadership that we are waiting for you to join if you truly believe in that world led by good hearts that can grasp and solve world's biggest problems and create a better future for all. So Jose, if you would be responsible, let's say that today you have all the influence, power, and money to solve one thing or to give one advice to all the listeners in this world, what would you advise or what would you do if you could?
I always talk in something key that any adversity in life you can survive it. And really, really, today I'm advocated to that, saying that any situation in life you can survive it. And to the audience and to anybody that resonates this message, because everybody has struggles in life. Isn't you cannot imagine somebody not having an issue in their life, even if you think that you have your perfect life. Maybe you're having a perfect life and something bad comes to you, and the way you decided to overcome it, the way that you decided to front it, is gonna be the change. So if I had the power and the money, I will be always spreading this message. Now, this is something that really today I strongly believe that the humanity, that people need more hearing with all these crazy things going in the world, that the people really, really need to understand that you had to get focused in your situation, and you will survive it. The humanity always has done. So that will be my advice, and that will be the thing that I will always will be promoting.
That's really awesome, Jose. I'm so happy to have your view, and looking forward to hear Ken's summary.
Yeah, so let me know if I got this on spot, but the best way to describe today's breakdown would be adversary is going to be everywhere you are in life, and having the resilience to go through it will create strong leaders. These situations start with the first phase and denial, and second phase, why is this happening to me? And then third phase is typically a fork, as you mentioned earlier, where do you choose to be the survivor or do you choose to stay the victim? Having your support network, your team, or anyone that is in the area that is helping you in these struggles can help you guide you through these turmoils. And also just sticking to a schedule that is designed to ensure that the minimum requirements are met each day so you can continue going in the roughest times allows you to succeed in the long run. Hopefully that narrowed down what you broke down today.
I cannot say more that I agree totally what you said. You did a great summary, my friend.
Basically, that's for a good cause. I will definitely read the entire thing because I do know the story and what's in it, and I documented myself, but I didn't read the book yet, and for sure I will. Imagine, exactly, it's a teamwork. Her wife transcribed his letters written as a hostage. How cool is that? That you do have the connectivity to the deep thoughts and emotions of someone when you read their diaries. And these are like diary. And I'm looking forward to read your book, Jose, if you have some last words for us before we wrap up.
Well, I'm surprised, to tell you the truth, Christina and Ken, how you wrap up my story. I'm really humbled and honored because you did a great resume of my story. And yes, this is a great example. And by the way we wrote the book really is like my memoir. And the way, let me tell you, when I was going back to the editing, I sit down with my wife in the computer. The first thing is I don't know how she transcribed it because the letter, even for me was difficult to understand my same letter and write it. Second, I saw things there because I was suffering in the situation. So I could feel when I was going in the pain, and I said to my wife, wow, I don't remember reading this, because he was talking by my soul. That situation and my wife putting together, I can tell you, she's my true hero. She is the hero. She is the, and I'm encourage her, as Sarah mentioned, to write her book, her version of not my ordeal, her ordeal, because this is the other side of the coin in any situation. In any adversity in life, you're not alone suffering. It's suffering the people that really care for you. See, and sometimes, and if somebody in the stage has any situation that any is going by, the people that surrounded you put their lives in pause, trying to be with you. It becomes a real situation. But my last thing is that any situation in life you can survive it. It's by choice. The way, if you decided to convert in a survivor or in a victim, it's your choice.
Thank you for coming here today, Jose, because you're so aligned with the mission of Tech Leadership Lab, Tech for Good, led by good hearts, and you can provide deep lessons for an amazing leader to build strength and resilience in order to change the world and bring some better innovation that can solve Earth's biggest problems. And I want to reiterate, for those of you who don't know, Tech Leadership Lab, it's a mission and a movement in disguise, where there is a thesis that if you unite the right type of people, who some have the skills, some have the money, some have the power, some have the intuition, the creativity, but all have empathy, they are all good-hearted, they are long-term thinkers, legacy-driven, mission-oriented people. The character traits are very, very important. If those are met, everything can be shifted, because we are in a connected world today, even if it looks exactly the opposite today, but we are connected, we have the power, and if we are united under the right type of umbrella, we can have the right type of influence around politics and everything to solve what's not solved today. And it could, because we do have technology, we do have amazing people, there are more good people than bad people, and there are more evolved people than we think so, but they don't raise their voices as much because they are nice, because they care. And that's the problem. This movement is basically to bring up the people who care about us, future generation, and have a wonderful, let's say, life on this beautiful planet, even if Ken wants us an intergalactic species and me also, but for resources, and to also live here and enjoy what our beautiful Earth has for us without destruction and being united together. Please connect with us if you resonate with this mission, and subscribe to follow the page, read the newsletter, because the next step will be to find a place for us where we will create the initial core group and the community meetings where we can grasp about the next steps to do. And this will be huge and amazing, an ambitious mission that can truly change the world. And so if you want to be part of such a movement, just get connected with us all. And also next week we will rejoin with another very important topic you will love, but usually we post this on Monday, so get back the same time, the same hour, and we will pick it from there, exploring more about what we can do, how we can grow, develop and explore and become a better self. Thank you for coming today, and until the next time, bye everyone.
I'm gonna leave the link of that for the book in the comments. If anybody wants to go there, I'm gonna put it in the comments after you close the room. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Bye everyone.